The January 2026 Pro Bowl selection of Shedeur Sanders, despite modest rookie statistics, sparked a familiar argument in professional sports. Is the league rewarding merit or monetizing attention?
And the real question is whether the controversy is actually about him or about what the Pro Bowl has always been.
Because I'm going to say this up front, without denying that Sanders' production lagged behind many peers. Of course, I have reasons for all of that. We won't go into that. I can still defend his inclusion as procedurally legitimate, culturally coherent with the Pro Bowl's purpose, and potentially constructive for a developing quarterback.
Let's walk it like a law school exam. Clean issue spotting, no feelings, only arguments, but also no pretending vibes don't matter in a league that sells entertainment.
You're listening to the AAA Ball and Play podcast. Quick note, this is for education and entertainment. Nothing here is legal, tax, or financial advice, and nothing we say creates an athlete-agent relationship. Listening or contacting us does not make us your lawyers or your agents. For advice, talk to a qualified professional in your state.
Welcome back, everybody. This is education and commentary, not legal advice, not financial advice, and it does not create an attorney-client relationship.
I'm Lee, and I'm going to be intelligently pro-Shedeur today because I think people are aiming their outrage about the Pro Bowl selection at the wrong target.
And now, Michael, I'll be the one to take the mechanics apart, how Pro Bowl rosters are built, how replacement chains work, and why the event itself blurs merit by design. This controversy is best understood not as a simple marketability versus meritocracy binary, but as a predictable outcome of three things. Number one, how Pro Bowl rosters are built. Two, how replacement and alternate chains work in Super Bowl week exhibition. And three, how the NFL's entertainment function inevitably interacts with player recognition.
And then there's the second layer. It situates the selection within the Cleveland Browns 2026 inflection point. Now under the new head coach, Todd Monken, where a supportive offensive staff and draft capital can convert a polarizing symbol, which Shedeur is, into a viable quarterback one outcome.
So we're going to start with why the controversy, why it was inevitable. The Pro Bowl has never been a pure merit badge in the way fans sometimes would imagine. It is an honor, yes, but also a league-produced event with incentives that differ from a strict ranking of on-field value.
And in 2026, those incentives were intensified. The Pro Bowl games sit in Super Bowl week. They function as a media product. Excuse me. They function as a media product and often depend on alternates because star players are either injured, competing for the title, or declining to participate.
Within that structure, Sanders' selection should not be read as the NFL announcing that his rookie season was elite.
It is better read as the NFL and the voting system it uses, hear my voice in italics, and the voting system it uses, selecting an eligible, vote-supported quarterback to fill a vacancy created by Super Bowl participation.
And that outcome can feel counterintuitive if someone treats the Pro Bowl as synonymous with best statistical season.
Which it is not, and it never really was.
All right, the Pro Bowl selection mechanics, let's get into that. Pro Bowl rosters are determined by a composite voting process that includes fans, players, and coaches, with each group counting as 1/3 of the final tally.
That design is not a bug. It's a philosophical choice. Fans inject popularity, players inject peer reputation, and coaches inject scheme-aware evaluation.
The result is an all-star mechanism, not an awards jury.
And two implications matter here.
One, popularity is structurally included.
Yes.
If fans view a player as compelling, for any mix of performance, story, charisma, or hype, that view affects the outcome by design.
And Shedeur is the number one most popular, most Googled athlete in the world right now. And two, replacement chains can produce non-intuitive rosters. When a roster spot opens late, especially in Super Bowl week, the pool is constrained by injuries, availability, opt-outs, and logistical choices.
Sometimes the best remaining player is not the most statistically impressive player, because the best remaining player may not be available or may not want the gig.
So if someone says this can't be merit, the correct response is the Pro Bowl is not trying to be a pure meritocracy in the first place. It's an all-star entertainment, right, product that includes merit, reputation, and public interest in the selection formula.
Okay, moving on, we're going to talk about the vacancy, alternates, and the context behind all of this. So let's talk about what actually happened the time around. Again, the vacancies, alternatives, and as I said before, the context, because the triggering event was not a marketing department decree.
So many people think it was, right? The Sanders was added as a replacement for Drake May after May's team, the New England Patriots, advanced to the Super Bowl, making him unavailable.
Sanders' rookie stat line is central to the backlash and also straightforward. In 7 starts late in the season, he threw for roughly 1,400 yards with 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, completing 56.6% of his passes while adding some rushing production.
Now, on the face of it, yes, these are not the numbers people associate with an all-star label, but the alternate context matters. Trevor Lawrence, reported as one of the top alternates, opted not to participate, and other quarterback options were reduced by injury and availability.
In other words, the selection emerged from the combination of the voting structure plus a thinning late-season quarterback pool. And that's why treating Sanders' inclusion as a single variable branding over merit choice is analytically incomplete.
Yeah. Now, the selection may still be criticized, but the critique should be aimed at the Pro Bowl's incentives and mechanics, not at the idea that the NFL ignored the system it publicly uses.
So merit is not only box score production.
Right. So quarterback performance is context sensitive. Protection quality, receiver separation, play calling, game state, and opponent strength can produce ugly numbers that don't perfectly map onto a player's decision-making ceiling.
Rookie quarterbacks, in particular, can post inefficient passing metrics while still demonstrating traits that coaches and evaluators value. For example, pocket poise, arm talent, processing flashes, and resilience after mistakes.
Now, that doesn't magically transform 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions into an elite season. It does, however, undermine the idea that statistics alone define merit, especially for a developmental quarterback pressed into starts late in a very much struggling offense.
Real quick, Pro Bowl. That's reputation plus attention and availability. And the more honest framing is the Pro Bowl, again, even more to the fact, is a hybrid social signal.
It's partly a nod to production, it's partly a nod to reputation, and partly an artifact of who is available to participate. In that hybrid, marketability is not an intruder, it is explicitly invited. The league benefits when fans care enough to argue about the roster, and boy, are fans arguing about the roster.
Players benefit when the honor increases visibility, endorsement power, and contract leverage.
And fans benefit, in theory, again, I'm speaking in italics, in theory, from a roster that reflects both excellence and the stories they actually follow, and people follow Shedeur.
So the deeper question isn't, did marketability corrupt a merit award? The deeper question is, should the NFL keep calling this a prestige honor when the process is not optimized for prestige?
And that critique is coherent, but it indicates the event design more than it indicts. Okay, let me just start that over. That critique is coherent, but it indicts the event design more than it indicts a specific player. So a defensible pro-Sanders position can be built without pretending that his stat line was great. And I don't know how anybody expected it to be the way they set him up to play, but whatever. Anyway, so Michael.
Yes.
Let's
talk about procedural legitimacy.
Yes.
Sanders was elected through the league's stated system and then added through the replacement mechanism after a Super Bowl-related vacancy and downstream alternate decisions.
So the second thing is symbolic legitimacy. The bowl games are a fan-facing product. A quarterback who attracts attention, debate, and viewership fits the event's function, even if that makes the purist wince.
Next up, developmental legitimacy. Now, for a rookie, being placed in a high visibility week of practices and competitions around elite peers can be a meaningful learning and confidence accelerant, especially if handled with maturity.
And that last point matters because the most productive way to treat Sanders' selection is not as a final verdict on his talent, but as fuel. A high-profile moment that raises expectations and creates an incentive to improve.
Sanders' Pro Bowl debate landed on an organization already in transition. The Browns fired Kevin Stefanski after a not-so-good 5-12 season and hired Monken as the next head coach.
Team leadership has also been publicly non-committal about naming Sanders the unquestioned 2026 starter, emphasizing that the new coach will have input in the quarterback decision.
But that ambiguity is not necessarily a slight. It is a rational posture for a team that has seen only a partial rookie sample and owns meaningful draft resources. So, Lee, why is Monken widely viewed as an offense-forward hire with extensive experience designing productive systems?
Well, he arrives with recent NFL coordinator experience working alongside elite quarterback play, most notably in the Baltimore Ravens, which makes the QB development runway theory very plausible. And he is a very supportive coach, which in practical terms means three things. One, structure that reduces chaos, defined reads, consistent footwork, fewer hero ball situations. Two is accountability without humiliation, correcting mistakes while maintaining confidence. He's very good at that. And then three is roster alignment, pushing the front office to acquire the kinds of protection and separation that let a quarterback's processing show up on film, which Shedeur has not had to date.
So what you're saying is if Sanders becomes QB number one in 2026, it will be less because of one Pro Bowl invitation and more so because Monken built a system that turns Sanders' strengths into repeatable advantages while sanding down risk-taking errors.
Yep, that's it exactly. So, Michael, let's talk about how the draft is the force multiplier for quarterback development.
Let's do it. Cleveland's 2026 draft profile gives the Browns a real chance to help a young quarterback quickly. The team holds the 6th overall pick and it also holds an additional first-round pick acquired via prior trades. And that matters because quarterback evaluation is notoriously contaminated by supporting cast quality.
Yeah, we saw that all last season. So, if the Browns deploy their early draft capital into pass protection, pass catchers, or offensive infrastructure, the Sanders question becomes easier to answer on the field. Put bluntly, quarterbacks don't develop in a vacuum. They develop inside ecosystems. A strong offseason can turn a statistically rough rookie cameo into a legitimate year-two leap.
And if Sanders is going to seize QB spot number one, the cleanest path is a roster and scheme that stop asking him to be a miracle worker on 3rd and long every drive.
Yep.
The 2026 Sanders Pro Bowl controversy is real, but it is also slightly misaimed. His rookie production made him an unintuitive choice in a vacuum. The anger makes emotional sense, though. Yet the selection is procedurally consistent with how the Pro Bowl works, and the late cycle replacement context is a major part of the story.
A sober pro-Sanders stance is not, he was secretly amazing. It is this: the Pro Bowl is not all pro. The system includes popularity by design, and Sanders' inclusion is better interpreted as an opportunity rather than a coronation. If Cleveland's new coaching regime under Monken creates a quarterback-friendly structure, which I believe it will, and if the Browns use their draft capital to upgrade the offensive environment, which they desperately need to do, then the controversy can become a footnote to a larger narrative. A rookie who took heat early, then used a stable offseason to earn QB1, the only way that truly ends arguments in the NFL by playing better.
And that's the framework, people. Not vibes versus stats. Systems, incentives, and what development actually requires.
And I'm saying this very clearly. This is a moment Sanders can convert. The honor doesn't crown him. It should challenge him, and I believe it will.
Y'all be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and let us know what you think, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye. You're listening to the AAA Ball and Play podcast. Quick note, this is for education and entertainment. Nothing here is legal, tax, or financial advice, and nothing we say creates an athlete-agent relationship. Listening or contacting us does not make us your lawyers or your agents. For advice, talk to a qualified professional in your state.